Greetings, my name is Rebecca Hornbuckle, and I'm speaking to you in advance of Michael Pollan's presentation at the Emerson Center on February 25th. My husband Mark and I have made our livelihood in the Florida citrus industry for the past 35 years. Unfortunately, citrus growers in our state are faced with a serious crisis due to a disease called greening. To give you some perspective, as a small, family-owned business, in 2006, we were farming over 1,200 acres of grove. 10 years later, we only have 80 acres left in production. Over the past 20 years, citrus farmers have faced disease, loss of grove acreage to residential development, devaluation of our crops in the aftermath of NAFTA, along with devastating freezes and hurricanes. With each challenge, our industry has come back, but this adversity has taken a toll. Because with citrus greening, we have no cure. As a small-scale grower, we no longer have the resources to continue farming our groves. Citrus greening will impact what is grown in our state in the future and who will be farming. My guess is that for the citrus industry, what was once a diverse grower base with small family groves all the way up to international conglomerates will transition into only very large companies that can afford to withstand the financial downturn that we have experienced. Over the past decade, as we were faced with declining production in our groves, Mark and I wanted to diversify our family business, and in 2010, we started Veggies of Vero, a 15-acre community farm. Over the course of 8 months, we were growing 75 different varieties of vegetables and fruit. We had over 200 farm customers that received a weekly box of veggies. We had support from several local chefs, and we were vendors at the Vero Beach and Fort Pierce Farmers Market. Even though it was an enormous amount of work, it was the most gratifying job I've ever had. As a commercial farmer vis-a-vis the citrus, I never met any of the customers that purchased our oranges or grapefruit. But operating a local farm, I had the opportunity to meet and interact with some amazing people. They were the ones that taught me about the benefits of a plant-based diet. Each week I endeavored to provide recipes for my Veggie Box customers. So I learned to make Swiss chard a dozen different ways, as well as prepare kohlrabi, a vegetable that I had never even heard of before. I fell in love with turnip greens, and the greatest prize of all, we grew 10 varieties of tomatoes that were ripened on the vine. For someone like me who loves to cook, I was in foodie heaven. We were willing to make a sizable investment in the startup of the farm, but in the second year we had the farm, there was a devastating flood in October, and we lost our first round of crops, which translated into about a third of our revenue, and we were not able to recover. After closing the vegetable farm in 2012, we kept looking for another farming venture that we could pursue. In 2015, we opened the Vero Beach Strawberry U-Pick. We grew 4 varieties of Florida strawberries, and the berries were delicious and very popular. Again, I met the most wonderful people. We had a core of devoted and enthusiastic customers, thank you very much Facebook. We had schools come out to the farm for tours. Gifford Youth Activity Center brought a spring break camp. There were churches that brought members out to pick berries. It was phenomenal from a vantage point of making an impact in our community. Another thing I loved about having a retail farm is that I got to be a vendor at several farmers markets. I was able to meet hundreds of people and talk about the farm and exchange recipes. I always brought lots of samples so customers could taste the superior quality of locally grown produce. My slogan was, if they try it, they buy it. And this was especially true when I brought our oranges and grapefruit to the market. When customers were able to sample a pink grapefruit that was truly ripe and ready to eat, they were blown away by the sweetness and flavor. And the same was true with our strawberries because we wouldn't harvest the berries until they were thoroughly ripe. And what a difference from the immature strawberries that you find in the grocery stores. But there's a downside to selling at the markets. As a farmer, I had to compete with vendors that were essentially aggregators. They didn't grow their product, but rather they bought from wholesalers, and because they were able to get the product so cheaply, I couldn't compete with their prices. Unless the farmers market customers were educated, they didn't know that the citrus at my booth was coming to them directly from the grove, and that this value add made the product more expensive rather than cheaper. It doesn't make sense, but it truly does cost more to get your product to the farmers market. So dedicated farmers market customers that buy from the actual farmers must be willing to pay more because they know the fruits or veggies are better because they are fresher, locally grown, and their purchase helps to support a local farmer. Another thing for farmers market customers to remember, even if the weather isn't great, maybe it's cold or overcast, go to the market anyway. The vendors are there with their harvest and they need to make the sales. Put on your jacket and go to the market. The farmers and vendors are relying on your support. Risk is inherent in all farming, but I found that the exigencies of running a retail farm were far more challenging than was my experience as a commercial citrus grower. In a nutshell, farming on a small scale, such as our 15-acre property, was just not financially viable. With our strawberry farm, we probably should not have planted the entire 15 acres. Production got ahead of us and we ended up with more berries than we could sell. In order for us to stay open, it became a calculation of strawberry production versus economy of scale. If we only planted 5 acres, it was guaranteed that we would sell all of our product, but 5 acres wouldn't generate enough revenue to support the farm, so sadly we had to throw in the towel. I still have people stop me and tell me how much they miss the veggies or how much they love the strawberries, so I know it wasn't totally in vain. The fact that I learned to cook and eat with a completely different understanding of food is something invaluable that I take away from these farming failures. One of the reasons for the development of community-supported agriculture, what we call the CSA model, was for farm customers to share the risks with the farmer. I decided not to pursue this when Veggies Vero started. Honestly, it was hard enough to get paying farm members without telling them that there was the potential of paying for veggie boxes that could be interrupted by weather, crop failure, etc. But I can't see another way for young farmers who want to operate a community farm to go forward. This kind of agriculture turns traditional supply and demand on its head. It requires a community to buy into the risk and reward. For success, there has to be unwavering support. Even if I wasn't able to do it, I want to believe that there are some smart, innovative young people that can figure out a way to make this happen. Because if small farms can survive and thrive, everyone in the community benefits.